Hi there, I'm Henry, also known as Music Simplified, and on this channel I will be reviewing speakers, earphones and headphones, specifically about how they sound. So we will focus only on the sound quality and what you will experience as a listener. And today, this is the reason I'm freaking doing 10 reviews today after not doing any reviews for 6 months. This is a new love that I found. Now, ZReviews said that this is his favorite IEM, and now I ordered it, even though there was a lot of critics online. I still decided I want to give this little freak a try, and I'm not regretting it. In fact, I love these earphones. I might even say they cured my depression. Now, to be honest, I had no depression, but let me tell you why. Why was I even looking for IEMs? Now, I have these huge things here, the Odyssey LCD2 closed, right? They're not really portable, okay, let's be honest. 700 grams on your head, you're not gonna go jogging with them. If you make a wrong move, you stop suddenly, you drop them, you know, that's your $1,000. So the portability of these is questionable, let's say. I do go for walks with these. They do work with my phone, but it's not the solution. So then I went on to look for IEMs that I would, well, at least tolerate. You know, that was the first goal. After trying a few, I just understood that it isn't going to happen like that. I'm not going to get cheap IEMs after the quality I'm used to today that I would enjoy. But also, like, I really wanted to start going for walks and running and something that would take me to the gym more. You know, I wanted a reason to go out, but it's winter here, it's freaking cold where I live, it's dark, it's wet. I don't want to go out there, okay? I need a pretty good reason. So I started looking for IEMs, something that I could comfortably wear and explore my love for music, you know, to find something new. Something that would genuinely surprise me, teach me, show me new ways of making music, show me new ways of listening to music. And I tried a couple of options, but then I got the Nanna, and this was precisely what I was looking for. Now, they're here, there's no reason for me to show you these because they will look so small over here. But these have an electrostatic driver, it's just when there's a different physical technology inside your headphone or earphone, you're gonna get a different result. And they have an electrostatic, a dynamic, and a balanced armature driver. Now, these are extremely well tuned, and you know, let's start with negatives actually. Now, they're $900, okay, that's a lot of money, but still, even at $900, you're not gonna expect to get a perfect headphone, right? It's not gonna fulfill every single one of your dreams. Hopefully it fulfills most of them. So they're negatives. In the beginning, during the first 30 minutes where I listened to them, I was really doubtful. I felt that there was a lack of high frequency information, a lack of detail, you might say, at first. All the tracks felt a little dim, especially the tracks that I've been listening to for years, that I always use as reference tracks. They didn't quite work for me. And then there was the other opposite where, you know, they say they're very dark and bassy. So perhaps I was looking for the bass head experience, you know, just boom, boom, boom. And they weren't quite that as well. So at first I didn't quite get them right. The high frequency response that they have truly is not for everyone, because they're not kings of detail. And now I'm just citing ZReviews because I watched like the review of this and the 1.0, the first version, like 4 times in a row, both of them. Just everywhere I walked, I had reviews of these on. But where I'm trying to get at is that they are definitely not kings of detail. So if you want the most high frequency, sharp kind of information thrown at you from all angles, they are not the headphone for you. Now, there is a second issue that I would mention, is that to my taste, the bass can be a little slow. You know, the decay, due to the nature of the dynamic driver, the decay can be a bit slow sometimes because it's moving real air, you know, it's not in a closed environment as such. So when the signal tells the driver to stop, it will still take a millisecond for it to start moving the other way, right? That's the physics of how these things work. So there's that. High frequency information. It doesn't sound like there's a lot at first, and the bass is a bit dreamy for me. But now let's look at the same thing in a very positive way. They are elegant. And I mean, they, you know, again, back to ZReviews, they sound like $900. Now, just straight out the bat, when you put them to your ear, they sound expensive. And it can be, if you're like the fan of the flat frequency response, then it sounds like a hi-fi, kinda unnaturally expensive sounding thing. You know, if something is, I don't know, gold plated, then, you know, there's a cheaper thing in there, but it looks very expensive. I don't know even what I meant by that. No, actually what I meant by that is, you know, like when a photo is, you know, produced so well, and then the colors and the contrast, they're just a bit more than the natural world, then it looks extremely good to you. But to some, you know, extreme naturalists, it can seem like it's a tone too much, right? So all of the negatives are covered. It does have them, but now let's go to what these things do. So first of all, they sound incredibly good. You know, even with all that I just said, they are great. You know, they're just like, they're a complete package by somebody who has done an excellent job, and they have tuned this and designed this in a very precise way, and they are literally gods of separation. Like the way things are in a room when you're listening to these, it's like nothing I've ever heard before. You know, there's something playing right in my ear. It's extremely intimate, as if somebody's whispering to your ear. And at the same time, you feel something in the front here, like with the reverb and all of the space. And then there's suddenly something coming like in the middle of the two here. And then there's something like behind you, some sound. The way they position sounds is an amazing story. Yeah, it's just like, it's something you have to experience. And now that's where I'm getting that if I'm paying $900 for an earphone, I want something that makes me want to discover, that teaches me new things. And these, oh my God, they do it so well, you know, just the best of the best when it comes to making you want to explore music. And then when you kind of let go of the scientific, mindful, what's the kind of analytical, you drop the analytical mind, and let's say you're just walking or just chilling around somewhere and you're listening to them. Now that's when you really fall in love with them. Then you stop criticizing that the bass is a tad slow, and then that the highs are a tiny bit dimmed. You lose focus of that, and then you can really fall in love with these earphones. Now there was a song, I was walking home, and it's a song called Hypnotized by Oliver Koletsky, or however you pronounce it. I've listened to this song for like 7 years now, with all kinds of gear, expensive and cheap. And for the first time I understood that the female vocal is not just a single vocal with a phasing effect or a chorus effect on there, but it's actually 3 vocals, and they are all affected slightly differently, and they have tiny little changes, like differences in placement in the stereo field. Like one version of the vocal is a bit on the right, then there's a very clear center, and one is a bit on the left, and they are still center, but there's 3 layers of center, and you can distinctly feel every single one of them. And then when you start discovering layers like that in music, then my girlfriend said it's you know, these are the earphones of spring, meaning that once you understand what these guys do, then it's like flowers popping out everywhere you look. You know, there's like 25 elements gently growing here, but that's your right ear, right? So on the left there's another 50. And again, copy from ZReviews, but that's exactly what they do. And you know, it just leaves enormous room for you to discover and enjoy music. And now, like at first I said the low amount of high frequency information could be a bad thing, but I would superbly argue against that. I don't know if you say superbly argue against that, but I do argue against that, because when you have the FiiO FA9, which is considered to be the most detailed headphone FiiO makes, the most precise headphone FiiO makes, and then we have the Nanna here, which many say is a very dim headphone lacking high frequency information. Putting them back to back, the Nanna does a much better job at playing this high frequency information. Like, sure, it might be like, if you look at it on a frequency spectrum, it might be 1% down and the FiiO might have like more data there. But the Nanna does a very elegant way of, it just shows you the layers within this. Like, you have the cymbal hit, you know, there's the sharp beginning, but there's also, you know, there's this sound, but this sound also compromises of how this sound is decayed within the room. You know, it's, my hands only touch for a millisecond, right? But the clap is definitely at least 10 or 50 or 70 or whatever milliseconds long, because this sound starts echoing within my room and then slowly it disappears. And with the Nannas, you hear this detail in a beautiful way. You hear every part of the decay and what it does exactly in a room. And the Nanna is so good at rooms that you can easily distinguish if this clap was done in next to a brick wall like I am right now, or maybe it was done in a wooden cabin. You would, or maybe it was the subway, but I mean, of course the big subway sounds enormous, but maybe it was like inside the train, or you could distinguish whether it was inside the train or inside the bus or inside a taxi. That is how much information you actually get. Sure, on the frequency spectrum it might be toned down a bit, but if you go in there and listen, then you will find an extremely satisfactory amount of information and story within every detail. The placement, once again, it just extends to all of the frequency, the entire spectrum. Like whenever anything moves left to right, of course that is extremely precise. And it's not only precise, it's natural. It sounds realistic, and it's, you know, it's almost impossible to copy real life with technology, but with these, if there's a ball rolling from left to right, then I actually think there's a ball in the room behind me rolling from left to right. You know, with some earphones it might be like, oh, here's the sound of a ball flowing left to right. But this one, it is actually a ball, you know, going left to right. Also, I moved house, and you know, now it's quite useless to use these good speakers, because right now I haven't redone my acoustic paneling in my new home. So I don't have a studio. So these speakers, the Adam S2V, sound bad. You know, they're not anything I would listen to. Like I only turn these on for movies, because in this room they sound really bad, and would be rather replaced with a $100 speaker set. So I've been missing this sound. You know, I love these speakers, and these Kineras were the first time that I got to experience this kind of purity and sound again, where every instrument has like an area of very distinct visceral dark matter between the two instruments. You know, like here's a flute, here's a violin, right? How do I hold these now? Now here's the flute, here's the violin, and here, you know, this is like a regular speaker. Now comes the Nanna. Here is the dark matter. You know, there's a flute in its own space and the violin in its own space, and they don't clash. And that's just, again, it's one of those, like the most musical things I could personally experience, because then you have like two stories. You have the story of the whole, of the entire mix, and you have the story of every little instrument in there that's also available for a private session. Yeah, you might say that. I would also consider the Adam S2V to have a bit of a dark sound signature, meaning that they don't ever throw high frequency detail into your face. They don't ever do that. They never have a chance of becoming sharp. They could never offend your ear or hurt you or create any discomfort. Same with the Nanna. Also, they have a very similar feeling of a very directional bass. And an excellent separation of the elements and a very natural feel. You know, with the Adams, I would never feel that these speakers are trying to impress me. Never, ever. In fact, even if I turn them like very loud, it feels that I'm never even touching the potential of these things. It's like I turn them all the way up. It feels like, hey, dude, you haven't even touched 5% of what we can do. You need to get a more expensive amp and so on. Same with the Kineras. You feel that they are very impressive without ever trying to impress. You know, they definitely are different than the regular audiophile earphone, meaning that, you know, they might be not tuned the way a regular audiophile earphone would be, but they are very well thought through. It's a very precise message that the creator of these is trying to offer you, and that is to allow you to really go and immerse yourself in the space of music, and it's 3D. You know, it's not flat. You know, the first one, I don't know, it's actually 2D, but you know, many earphones are even 1D. You know, they are very flat. You know, there's something going on here, and there's something going on here. And they only balance between the 2 points. Even if there's a huge reverb, the reverb is huge right here. But then you have like the 2D or whatever earphones where you have now excellent precision to the left and to the right, but these ones go like, you know, it is an enjoyment earphone, pure joy. And it is meant to provoke an emotional response for you. And this uneven frequency spectrum that I'm sure you have checked by now, since you're looking at this review, or you will go and check it now, this unevenness there is what allows for it to be so precise and so emotionally, you know, it's just like, oh, give me more. You know, that's how it feels. It feels like it's pulling something from you. You know, I can't even, after the gym, I couldn't go to the shower because I didn't want to take off my earphones. So they will make you be attached to them. They will make you enjoy them. Like you really feel like a little slut when you get these earphones because you want more of them. And now, what I'm just describing is something I would definitely pay $900 for. And, you know, these guys, you know, I fulfilled my purpose. Thanks to these earphones, I am going for walks. I'm going to the gym more. You know, the reason I made freaking 10 reviews today is because I got those earphones. I was so amazed with them. They continually surprise me. So now, after 6 months of not doing any reviews, I got enough inspiration to spend the whole afternoon reviewing all of the gear, or well, most of the gear that I've had a good experience with in the past 6 months. So they are inspiring for sure. Now, would I use these for mixing? Would I use these for mastering? Mastering? No. Okay, but mixing, and I know you should never mix with earphones and blah, 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 but I freaking would. And let me tell you why. Because with these, I can assess extremely well the emotional response of what the listener will get from my music. And I know mixing is a technical job, but music is not a practical thing, and it's art, and you're trying to create a state within a person, then these earphones would be the perfect judge to tell me if this music touches you or not, if it creates the emotion that you're wanting to create. It's also the perfect earphone to understand if your things are placed well, if they're not interfering with each other. And now stereo placement and the depth of different fields, like the depth between your background and your foreground, these are extremely important also when making music, not just listening to music. I would say, like as a final thing now, what the Adams and the Kinera also share is that many speakers and many earphones, they still have very good background to foreground separation, but there's just two layers. There's the background, and here is the foreground. And you know, sounds can choose. They're either there or they're here, there or here. But the Adams and the Kineras, they have every layer in between available for your instruments. And that's just, I don't know how they do it, but it's amazing. So the Kinera Nan-na 2.0, I 100% recommend these earphones. They are extremely fun. And I mean fun in a way, you know, they're not bass cannons, because if you made bass cannons and sold them for this expensive, you know, it's not musical. They are the most elegant version of a fun earphone you can find. You know, it's never comparable to a Beats by Dre, right? It's classy, it's stylish, it's beautiful, it's well polished, it's elegant, but still it is very fun, and it has a very distinct character, and it will be a ride, it will be an experience for you. So Kinera, amazing job. Nan-na 2.0, I recommend anybody to spend $900 and get these earphones. So if you ended up here because you were watching at the ZReviews video or some other review and you're still doubtful, then I heavily affirm and confirm, and whatever other positive word, that these are earphones that you want to experience. These are something that you're gonna buy and you're never gonna sell them. Whatever better or other or flatter or more precise gear you're gonna get, these ones will always have a very special place in your collection. And even if they're your only high-end earphone, then these are something you want to listen to more and more every day. All right, thanks a lot. Have a great day.